everyone, and welcome to the Bristol 24/7 Queer Catch-Up. My name is Kit, and my pronouns are they, them, and theirs.
And my name's Lowie, and my pronouns are they, them, and theirs.
We're going to be diving headfirst into the biggest queer stories of the week, but first, here's the rundown. A town in Wales has nominated the world's first openly non-binary city mayor. 23-year-old Owen Hurcombe, who is also the youngest mayor in Welsh history, was elected mayor of Bangor last week and has since thanked their fellow councillors for their support. The US House of Representatives has passed a bill to designate the Pulse nightclub as a national memorial. 49 people were killed and 53 were injured in an attack at the Orlando nightclub in June 2016 in what has been called a national and international tragedy by House Democrats presenting the bill. NHS England is launching a fourth pilot scheme in an attempt to improve trans healthcare. The scheme, based in the east of England, targets people who are on existing gender identity clinic waiting lists and joins similar schemes in London, Manchester and Merseyside. And finally, in entertainment news, queer icon Ellen DeGeneres has announced the next series of her talk show will be the last. After 19 years on air, and following allegations of a toxic on-set atmosphere, Ellen has said the show is ending as it is no longer a challenge for her. That's the rundown. You're up to date. Hello there, Lowie. How are we?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in quite a good chill space, and I'm wearing a very new shirt, which I'm feeling pretty damn fab about. It is covered with, I can't work out if they're cheetahs or leopards, but, I'm feeling cute in what I'm wearing.
Yeah, it looks like a train seat.
Oh my god, yes.
You go on, those old-fashioned trains. For anyone that wants context, that is exactly what this shirt looks like, and it's amazing.
Which is kind of just the non-binary aesthetic. I mean, if you're looking like a train seat or an arcade carpet, you're kind of nailing it just as a non-binary person. Which is funny, because anytime you see, big fashion designers making, gender-neutral clothes, it's always, black and long and shapeless, whereas every non-binary person I know dresses the most loud in the best possible way. Right. And it's brilliant. So that is the thing. So, it's nice that we're going to be actually talking about some kind of, just some good news, I think, this week. We have a little bit more good news to dive into, which, for the past couple of weeks, where everything's been a little bit all over the shop, both on a personal level, I think, for both of us, and also, on a big global level, we haven't really kind of been able to do that. But there are news stories, and there are awesome news stories. Lowie is obviously writing them in the amazing way that they always do. And I think we should jump into it.
I think we should as well. We love a bit of good news around here.
Yes, and it's nice that we have some things to be diving into. And we've also got a really awesome guest who I'm very looking forward to chatting to. Yeah, we're going to be chatting to Francis in a little bit. Lowie actually first wrote about a piece about Francis and what we're going to be chatting about today back in 2019. So it's going to be really awesome to see how their projects have grown and developed. But first things first, would you like me to intro this bit, or would you like to do it?
Go for it.
Cool. So, this is a really, really cool thing. So, a personal trainer in Bristol has launched a specific training program for trans and non-binary people. So it's called the Bicep Brotherhood. Going to be run online, and then also from the Zone Training, which is in Easton. So
yeah, it's run by Cath Gill, who I had the pleasure of talking to on the phone, and she's a lovely, lovely human being, and said that, it came about because she had been training a friend of a friend who was transmasculine, and had kind of realised that her work, and more widely in personal training, there wasn't really anything for transmasculine people. And it was a chance to make people feel better in themselves, and went ahead and has started this incredible program that I think is going to be so nice for non-binary and trans-masculine people, and help them just feel better in their bodies, which is what it's all about, really, isn't it?
And also helping to sort of like on a physical level to like build a more sort of masc physique, which is, I think, given, I mean, we've spoken so much about the wait times to like get on hormones and to get on tea and things like that. So being able to kind of work on that almost like an in the meantime type thing, that's a really good thing. And also one thing that's really nice is it's like priced really, really accessibly, like £10 a week, which as a personal training program, you know, is a semi-bespoke personal training program, that is incredibly well priced. Like that is, and it's really nice to see these things being like sort of being really, really accessible. And yeah, like I say, being able to sort of, you know, help people feel more good in their body. And the thing about it is like, I mean, it's almost weird for us to talk about because the puberty that both of us went through maybe we, you know, sort of learned and realised later on, like, wasn't quite right. But, like, I think even if you speak to cis people, like, puberty is a weird and, like, difficult process. So when you're going through that for the second time for some people who are going to be going on hormones as an adult, it's, you know, and the way your body is changing, you know, having that sort of that exercise thing where you can, you know, sort of feel comfortable in, you know, a quite rapidly changing body that's finally becoming you, like, that's a really, really awesome thing.
Yeah, and like, there's almost like a two-pronged part to this, right? So, like, you've got, like, it can be an in the meantime thing of helping someone develop a more masculine physique, but then also, even once someone has finally been able to access hormones, has been able to have the surgery that they want to have, it's still having that access. There would be that access to exercise regimes and nutritional support, you know, that helps maintain that physique that the individual might want. And also that it's really nice to have something for transmasculine and non-binary people out there. This isn't, you know, this is specifically for those groups of people, but something that, you know, is often less represented, and is less talked about perhaps. But yeah, it's just really, really fab. And also the idea of it being, you know, a way to welcome trans people into sport. Like, sport is a place for everyone, despite what the media headlines might say. And this is such a careful and caring way to ensure that all trans people are welcomed into this space.
You know what I'm thinking of, though, what this is reminding me of? I saw something a while back about someone, I think an American person, who was a trans man. And he was on hormones, but he'd gotten really, really into, like, working out and things like that. And, like, the guy was, like, cut. But so much so that he, in terms of the way he built his, like, chest and biceps, he hadn't had top surgery, but had been able to just work out in such a way that actually he just ended up completely with manly pecs without having to. And it's really amazing. If I can find this video, I will share it, because it is absolutely incredible. Like, the way, you know, the way this guy's managed to like sculpt his body and things like that. Also, there's the added benefit of, you know, just exercise in general, like, you know, endorphins and all of that sort of thing, and helping you, you know, be like, yeah, you know, my body does these things and can do these things, and that's really awesome. You know, so I think it is just a really, really brilliant thing. And and also when, you know, sometimes the gym can feel like, I mean, any space where there's any sort of gender separation in terms of, you know, changing rooms and changing facilities and in terms of
styles of workout.
Yeah. Any sort of space where there's sort of any sort of gender separation can feel like quite nerve-wracking for like trans people. So like knowing that you are walking into a space where you are not only accepted but loved as a trans person, like that is a really, really awesome thing. Like
yeah, and Cath has been recommended. Like, the reason she started this is because she was training a friend of a friend who kept recommending her. So it's clearly an incredibly trustworthy person, which is so beautiful and lovely to hear, especially in the fitness world, and the way she was so passionately talking about how sport is for everyone, like regardless of everything, it is for everyone, and it's up to people already within that community to make sure that everyone feels accepted. And I also love that they're doing not only online stuff, but also they're going to be starting up like taster workshops so that people can just get a familiar feeling within the gym, because they can be like a really difficult place for trans people to go. But yeah, feel comfortable, see if this is something that they want to do without having a monetary commitment, a financial commitment to something, which is, you know, not something that every trans person can have. And I think the idea that having someone who's not only helping you build that masculine physique physically, but also supporting on the nutritional side, super important, because a lot of mental health issues are more increased within the LGBTQ plus and the trans community. And that, just as a content warning, let's skip ahead 15 seconds, I'm going to talk about eating disorders. Eating disorders can often run higher in the trans community because of that dysphoria and that disconnect we feel with the bodies. So to have someone to support on all those levels, really, really important.
Yeah. Especially for people who have kind of been through that and maybe have had an unhealthy relationship with exercise and now want to build a healthy relationship with exercise and with food. You know, having, rather than saying like, oh, I'm going to completely avoid the gym because like I know that in the past it's been sort of a trigger for
unhealthy habits.
Yeah, unhealthy habits. I'm trying to find sort of the best way of phaasing it, you know, sort of in a...
well.
And then people, you know, have a tendency to just go, okay, you know, I'm just going to completely avoid that. But actually being able to sort of relearn that as a positive space with sort of the support of someone who knows, like, okay, you know, you need to make sure you're fueling yourself properly, and you need to make sure that you're setting limits, and, you know, so that's, you know, that's a really positive thing. Just to clarify, like, Cath, as far as I'm aware, like, isn't a specialist in EDs or anything like that, but, you know, is offering nutritional guidance as someone who knows about workouts. Like, we just figured we should just put a little disclaimer on that one. But I think that is something that could be helpful for people who have struggled with that. And yeah, you're right that these things do tend to run higher in the trans community, because I think sometimes when, especially sort of in a younger age, when you don't fully understand what your dysphoria is, it's a way of sort of gaining control over your body. You know, but anyway, that's a whole different conversation.
Dysphoria is a bitch.
Dysphoria is a bitch, and, you know, eating is sometimes hard. Moving on from that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really lovely, really positive thing. And it just the way it's being made so accessible, you know, in terms of there are in-gym options and there are at-home options, you know, 3 to 5 workouts a week and weekly check-ins, nutritional guidance, monthly wellbeing Zoom sessions.
It's just incredible. And this is something I saw scoring down my own personal Facebook and was like, I want more trans people to know about that. And that's like the beauty of my job, is that I get to... I've just been able to put this out and help potentially more trans, masculine and non-binary people. And I just love that about Bristol. I love that it's so lovely. And although the LGBTQ plus community might seem small on a kind of compared to other places, the fact that it's so warming and caring and that there are these glorious little stories that come out is just so heartwarming, especially in a time where everything is really, really difficult.
Yeah. These lovely little things that come out. I can never resist that. You gotta finger guns that. So, our very lovely special guest has joined us. So, Francis, if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do, we'd love to find out more.
Hi Lowie, hi Kit, hi everyone. I'm Francis Myerscough. I'm a music therapist. I founded Phoenix Song Project, which you may or may not have heard of, in 2019. So I'm here to talk about that really, and in particular about online puppet group that we're starting soon.
I love the sound of that already. I want to hear more.
And what's your pronoun, sweetness?
Oh, sorry, didn't do that bit. And my pronouns are they, them.
Lovely. Right, so online puppet group. I mean, before we dive into anything about, just online puppet group. I mean, as someone who's quite a major fan of the musical Avenue Q, which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it is Sesame Street gone wrong, and it is the funniest thing. Just, like, imagine Sesame Street, but with songs about, like...
Porn.
Yeah, with songs about porn, and it is the funniest thing. But yeah, so online puppet group very much intrigues me.
Yeah, so online puppet group. While everything's possibly opening up, I've kind of stuck online just so that we can be sure that this is going to be able to happen. But, you know, normally with Phoenix song stuff, the body comes into it when we're exploring voice, as well as our feelings and as well as our head. And it can be quite difficult to bring that into a virtual space. And I can't remember what it was initially that actually made me think, well, why don't we do this with puppets? But, like, once you make a puppet and bring a puppet in, I might see if I can get my puppets. Hang on.
Please do.
Okay, so, like, once you've got puppets, you can bring their physicality into the space. And it's like, you know, it's almost like you've got a little puppet stage.
Oh my
you can
god.
Explore. So this is Babbage. And, like, Babbage, you can see he's pretty... I don't know, he's pretty, like... It's quite hard, actually, to make him just chill out. He's just kind of, you know, lying back.
Like, was a bit...
Hey.
I love that.
I really, really love that. Oh, that is awesome. That is fully awesome.
And also, like, I guess it's a sock, right? Like, that's so beautifully done with a sock. I love that.
I like his flowery eyes.
Oh, they are beautiful.
Oh, they are. That is so cute.
He's very cottagecore.
Oh, 100%.
Whereas this one this is Terry, and Terry is just like, hey!
Oh.
Oh my god.
There's a little, like, video on the kind of Phoenix song section of my website. We've not got a separate website yet. But there's a little video that's got her misgendered you, Terry. It's got them kind of bouncing around and just doing everything to the Queen of the Night aria. It's a bit ridiculous.
Nice.
But yeah, they're kind of like almost like a little community cheerleader.
I want a puppet cheerleader. I need like a puppet hype person.
So when you're like, having a bad day, you can be hyped up by a puppet.
It means that you can explore the space in different ways. So you can explore embodiment despite being in different places and despite having this limit on what's being seen.
Yeah.
And it also means you can explore different bits of your voice. And I'm quite into this thing about actually we all have like multiple voices as a way of exploring what we do with our voices. And so, yeah, like Babbage and Terry, they both have different characters, and so they both have different ways of inhabiting the space, and they have different voices, and those kind of things interconnect. And, like, puppets just give us permission to be silly. Whereas, like, as adults, we spend so much time, like, not being allowed to be silly.
Yeah.
And, like, actually being silly and being playful is great.
Yes.
Feels weird at first, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Kind of. Awesome. That's why puppets.
I love that.
I think in terms of like thinking about, I guess, like different voices and like thinking about like experimenting with embodiment, there are almost comparisons to drag that you could draw between like sort of like using kind of puppets for things, because it's a very, especially, you know, if you're doing this very exaggerated kind of like silliness and these very exaggerated kind of voices and things, it's in the same way as drag is an exaggerated version of a personality of a character. It's all very much to the extreme. Sort of doing that through puppets is kind of another way of being able to explore those kind of extremes in quite an accessible way, which is really nice.
Yeah, because like most people will probably have some stuff they can make a puppet with, and if not, I've got a whole collection of like old socks and bits and bobs. So I've kind of moved it a bit later than it was initially planned to be. So it's not starting till late May, and I'll have time to kind of, if need be, go and deliver people materials. So yeah, kind of we really want it to be as kind of accessible to people, including economically, as it could be. Although I guess, the problem comes, I can't deliver it to someone on the other side of the country, but I guess then, the post is the thing. So hopefully we can sort some of that out. Yeah, the drag thing is a really interesting thing, like, potentially for another time, but I really would like at some point to, like, link up with people who do drag.
Puppet
to have,
drag
like,
race.
some kind of, like, well, almost like a drag therapy group. I know, I've heard Manly Mannington talking about some really cool kind of therapeutic stuff they do with drag in the schools. Like,
oh my God.
But yeah, like, generally, I feel like it is potentially a really interesting area, actually. But yeah, I've not gone there yet, and I feel like I can't do that on my own. Like, it's just,
but like,
yeah.
Fascinating thing to think about. I think, as like queer people anyway, just like thinking about stuff like that is just so fun. To be like, how can we mess about, like, how can we bring these concepts and can, like, collaborate with other people in queer spaces to create this, like, beautiful queer community and, like, help people, and that all sounds brilliant.
I should say, by the way, if anyone needs a puppet, like, I have crochet hooks and a lot of time on my hands, like, hit me up.
Oh, cool. Yeah, like, the plan is that, there'll be kind of 2 weeks where we make puppets virtually together and kind of chat then. And then, there's, like, 4 weeks of, okay, now we're kind of concentrating more on, like, what are they doing, what do they sound like and things. Yeah.
So I guess it's probably worth talking about, like, the Phoenix Song Project, like, more generally, just to kind of give people who might not be familiar with it a little bit more of an introduction. Yeah, could you just sort of explain the Phoenix Song Project and what it is and what you do with it? Because I think it actually, we were saying it linked quite nicely into something we were talking about before we started speaking to you about a personal trainer who specifically launched a service for trans and non-binary people to sort of, personal training and feel sort of good sort of in their bodies and things like that. And I think there are really interesting kind of links between that almost and the Phoenix Song Project, I think. But yeah, so if you could kind of explain a little bit more about what it is for people who might not know about it.
Yeah, I guess I can see some links in terms of, like, just personal development and how do we be in the world. So in terms of Phoenix Song Project, it kind of grew out of a few things. I should probably say what it is. It's it's a therapy project. We concentrate on voice. So sometimes I end up calling it voice work. At the moment, I'm having a bit of a, do I call it a music therapy project or do I call it a voice work project moment? We do a lot of work with voice. And yeah, it's kind of run for and by people in the trans and non-binary community. I founded it in 2019, but kind of in summer last year, kind of took it through, like, a development process. So we had really quite an in-depth meeting about, like, what was going on for people and what people might want from a project. And then we kind of got a committee so there's that continued input from committees through the year. Like, at the moment, I'm the only one who kind of does the therapy work, but it means that I am being held to account and not just kind of doing my own thing. The aim is to have, like, it's something that's community directed. Because, yeah, while I might come in with a load of, like, professional know-how, actually, like, I am not the only trans person on the planet. Like, people are gonna have different experiences. And, I'm coming in as someone who, my circumstances have meant, I've had the money to do that training and stuff like that. So there's areas where I am privileged, where other people aren't. And trying to make sure that doesn't exclude, which, you know, I think I'm not going to say we're 100% successful on that, though there's kind of plans in the making to try to continue improving. You know, it came out of... I kind of finished training as a therapist in 2018, and just wasn't... I feel like a lot of therapy, not just music therapy, but a lot of therapy, there's quite an attitude a lot of the time of kind of, oh, I treat everyone the same and I treat everyone as an individual, which kind of pushes to the side any need to engage with any kind of structural forces at play. Whether that's racism or whether that's transphobia. And so there was that kind of large scale frustration and thinking about also, kind of how might practice in music therapy be different? How might actually we need to respond differently to things like voice? Because, you know, it's things like we get told to kind of accept people's voices as they are, and, you know, there's techniques where you kind of mirror things back. But actually, for me, it's like, well, actually, sometimes, how do you know as a therapist that what you're mirroring back isn't something that actually potentially comes across as mocking? You know, like, if someone mirrors my voice back and, like, I'm pretty okay with the fact that my voice sounds quite nasal, but, like, not everyone would be. And, like, what if, you know, you think you're kind of, you know, being validating by throwing back someone's voice at them, but actually maybe for some people that's seen as, something mocking. So it's not that there's a rule to never do that, but it's something about being sensitive to that. And just, wanting to build therapy spaces that were actually, which were actually empowering trans and non-binary folk. And,
I think voice is one of those things that, I mean, with sort of, you know, trans and non-binary people, it's a particular thing because, you know, again, you know, if you've got people who are going on testosterone, potentially they're having to deal with, you know, voice breaking for the first time, and as much as there's joy in, like, oh, my voice is changing and starting to match how sort of I feel it should be, you know, that's a change that you have to navigate in yourself. And then also sort of on the flip side of that, you know, people going on the estrogen and etc. You know, I personally don't know how much that actually
it doesn't change.
It doesn't really, because once a voice is broken,
change has happened, it can't unbreak.
But then learning to, you know, explore the aspects of your voice and, you know, I think that's a really, really interesting thing. I think it's a really beautiful thing to be doing, to help people kind of navigate something. And I think it's something that, it's one of the aspects of transition, in whatever notion you take that people don't always think about. I think sometimes it gets neglected kind of as a thing.
Yeah, and, you know, I think, you know, there's stuff like, there's speech and language therapy available, but that's kind of almost like, okay, you're going from A to B, you need to do this thing to sound like B. And, like, you know, sometimes that's exactly what people want and exactly what people need, and that's great. There's going to be speech and language therapists out there who are, like, sensitive to the psychological side as well. You know, I'm not saying speech and language therapy bad. It's just this is another thing that actually, people are going to get different stuff from. And, you know, maybe there's some people who the speech and language approach just doesn't work for them. But this is almost like, I mean, sometimes I say it's not about like, you're gonna sound more like a man or more like a woman. It's kind of like exploring what does me sound like? And some of that can be useful because it's like, because you can end up thinking, okay, well, where are different bits of my voice? Where's the bit of my voice that's up in my head? And, if I'm talking up in my head, then I can talk higher. And, so, it means you can modulate those things, but it's a bit more of a creative approach that maybe gives you more space to think, well, actually, how do I want to use these things in a way that works for me?
Yeah, it's like creating a space for, by and for trans people to explore those things that we've been taught a certain ways, but actually, what is that for us?
Yeah.
And that sounds like magical, and also it not being a medicalised thing. So much in the trans community can come across as medicalised, and instead being like, oh, let's have this creative space by and for trans people to, explore what our voices mean to us. I don't know, that just sounds fascinating and really beautiful.
The non-medicalised thing is really interesting and kind of topical. Well, it's topical for me, anyway, in terms of one of the things that I've done kind of with the development process is I've kind of been working on writing it up so that it's something that then can be in a publishable form and then kind of help inform other therapists. So hopefully, as well as there being this thing in Bristol, it's just something that means that we're all we all have the opportunity to be a bit less rubbish.
That's what life's about, isn't it? Trying to be a bit less rubbish.
And I think, one of the things that really came out in discussions was this thing around the fancy word for it is, the fancy word that came out was liminality, but it's kind of that betweenness or movement or that kind of, betweenness or that boundary.
I love that word.
And it kind of fits with this thing of, well, actually, so I was reading, there's a Ruth Pierce book called Understanding Trans Health, which I only found out years later that there's a quote of something that I co-authored in there. But,
incredible.
Which was just
nice.
oh wow, I'm at the top of a chapter. But there's this whole chapter, there's this whole kind of the thing that she gets at a lot is kind of two understandings of transness as condition, which is very medicalised, and kind of transness as movement. So it's that kind of cis means in the same place, trans means kind of moving between.
Right.
So it's kind of moving to this creative exploration space kind of really fits with that betweenness.
Right.
So kind of the things that came up in our discussions last summer actually kind of do sit quite neatly in terms of relating to existing bits of writing that are out there. So it's quite exciting, seeing how actually this could fit in really, really well potentially for quite a lot of people. But kind of that side of things, I feel like I can do that side of the writing. It's just actually getting it out there so that people who might be interested actually hear about it.
Yeah, getting it published and stuff.
I think it's just so beautiful that Bristol has stuff like this that's happening, and it could expand and help trans people across the world. And at the moment we're really lucky to have a space someone in Bristol who's helping to do that.
100%.
It's just really nice to hear.
I think,
and I guess the thing with it being online is that other people don't have to be in Bristol,
Right.
which is one of the pros of the move online.
Right.
how do you find that does in terms of syncing things up? I guess if there's singing and things, in terms of sort of syncing things, because that would be sort of my concern. I couldn't imagine doing that online.
So I've been quite creative in terms of basically avoiding doing things where we need to sync up.
Fair enough.
So in the winter we did some songwriting, and then there wasn't that whole thing of multiple people trying to sing at once. And with the puppets, I guess it's not, it's almost like a more conversational, even though you're using those kind of musical aspects of your voice, you're not just talking, but it's not like trying to sing in a choir.
Nice.
So I guess the thing to do now is, would you sort of like to let people know if they want to become involved in any of the things that you've been talking about, like how do people find you and the awesome, beautiful work you're doing, and how can people get involved?
Cool, yeah. So the best thing to do is probably to go to the website, which is, like I said, it's still my website, but which is fmyerscoughmusictherapist.com. There's a tab on there dedicated to Phoenix Song Project, where there's a link up to about the puppet group, but there's also a contact tab, and on there that's got my work telephone number, which is 07542 877 517, and it's got my email, which is fmyerscoughmusictherapist@gmail.com.
Awesome.
And so yeah, kind of get in touch that way, and I can send over the form with kind of relevant bits and bobs. It's a pretty minimal form, so it's things like, I don't ask for people's addresses. I do ask about like just what kind of county area, what council area people live in. I find it doesn't happen really much on online things, but that's, it's in case like safeguarding stuff comes up. And yeah, the group starts on the 26th of May. It's on Wednesday evenings.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting to us. You're doing a really, really beautiful thing, and thank you so much, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a lovely day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
So, the second bit of good news we've got this week is that Pride has announced its official return of in-person events for 2021, which is super exciting. It's so nice, like, that it was so great that it happened last year anyway, but the fact that there's a possibility, or I'm cautiously hopeful, that it might happen in real life this year is so nice to hear. Bit of physical community.
Yeah.
I just want it so bad.
I know, and I just feel like there's so many things where I've been like, oh, it's happening, and then it hasn't. My default is to be like, yeah, get really excited about this, but I've just been burned so many times by that over the past couple of years. But no, we are going into this with positivity. We're going into this with positivity.
Cautious optimism.
Yes, cautious optimism is the vibe.
Yeah, so they've announced that it's going to take place in Castle Park instead of Downs. The march will go ahead, but like generally the day will be a little bit different. So it's not going to be like any big stages. It's going to be like performers walking around instead. And also they've announced, I think the actual programme's coming out a bit later on, but they've announced that all like some of the events that are happening around it. So theatre night, the classic, the dog show, circus night, etc., etc. So I like even although I'm a little bit more pessimistic, I'm trying my best not to be, but a little bit more pessimistic about the march, which I'm sure will go ahead absolutely fine. But if nothing else, is the idea of having queer events in Bristol again. Yeah. An absolute dream. Dream come true.
There is one thing about it. I mean, they're saying, they've put it on, they're doing it in Castle Park. It does seem like a slightly weird thing. I mean, I know that, they're not doing big stages and things, obviously, but I feel like almost the Downs would still be easier in terms of social distancing. To be honest, I wonder if it's a funding thing.
Yeah, I wonder if it is.
I would wonder if it's a funding thing. I should say, by the way, I've got this article up on the other side of the screen, as I always do when we sort of record these things, so I can, make sure I'm absolutely informed. I mean, 2 comments. One of them was basically what I've just said about, like, the Downs and stuff. The other one it's just someone saying just, gays, with an exclamation point and then the blushy emoji.
Yeah, someone commented on the article, didn't they?
Yeah, someone just commented that on the article, just, gays! And it's like, yes.
I'm sure you're trying to troll, but, like, yes.
I don't know if that's someone... I don't know if that's someone trying to troll, or if that's, like, a queer person taking the mick out of someone... As if, like, I don't know if that's, like, someone actually... I have no idea, but that just really just amused me as a comment, just, gays! It's like, yes, accurate, gays.
There will be gays.
So, yeah, it's only, Pride Day, food market, and sort of roaming live performances and things like that. which is really, really awesome. And again, just being in the same space is going to be a really, really awesome thing. And it's, you know, nice to just, it will just be really, really nice to do it. I mean, so if they've announced some of the things going around it, what were some of the things you said? Like comedy night. Again, I went to one a couple of years back, which was awesome.
Oh, was that the one with Jade Adams?
Yes, Jade Adams and Mwan Rizwan. That's it. I wrote that down. Mwan Rizwan, who was absolutely also really, really brilliant. But, I do hope the march does happen. This is the thing. I do hope that the march does happen. It might be a case of, you know, you have to mask the march, which would be absolutely fine. You know, it really would be fine. And I don't know, it's just a weird thing to think about, because it's almost going to be like, oh, I don't know, just the fact that, okay, like, this is a thing that could be happening is really, really awesome. And, I mean, I know I'm going to be coming down for this. I hope Lowie's going to be... I'm sure Lowie will be there.
I'm sure I will.
Sure Lowie will be there. But as well, so you'll probably spot us just roaming around going like, there's a gay, there's a gay, there's a gay, there's a gay, there's a gay.
Yeah. I think you can probably hear from just me and Kit chatting that, like, the idea of in-person queers is a little bit overwhelming. Like, in the best way possible. Like, I'm like, I don't know what to think about that. Incredible. I could go to the idea of queer events, like, that aren't online. Like, I love they're online. I love that they're accessible. Incredible. We love to see it. But also, the idea of going to, like, a theatre night, a real-life theatre night, run by, like, real-life queers, with real-life queers in the audience. I can't get over that.
Yeah.
That sounds fake. Like, you know when you're like, sounds fake, but okay? Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, incredible. Imagine if that happens. I think I might just cry. I'm not a crier.
I probably will, to be fair. In terms of online things going into real life, I mean, Lowie and I talk about, like, we promise, not a spawn. But we talk about...
Queer House Party.
We talk about Queer House Party. I think it's tomorrow, actually. They've got their first real life party. I mean, they're doing it online as well, which I think is really, really good. You know, they're doing it online as well. And they say that, you know, they will continue to keep these things sort of open and accessible. But yeah, they've got their first, and that feels like so bizarre, because like that is such a, like, Queer House Parties as a thing is such a thing of the lockdown. Do you know what I mean?
Right, like where it was born out of it. Right?
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, that's the phrase I'm looking for. You know, it was born out of lockdown. And it was born out of this stuff. And the fact that it's coming into the real world is just really weird and bizarre. And it's and it's awesome. And it's awesome, but it's also just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
After this long, I mean, the change in sort of these changes in routine can be a little bit like, as much as we're all excited for it.
Everyone's anxious, even people who aren't generally anxious people. I think it's an uncertainty. Like, although we all kind of, I think a lot of us really dislike what we're living at the moment. The idea of going back to normal, the idea of like being in a club and dancing, part of me is like, absolutely, we want to like wear my best outfit and go and like, you know, grab a nice drink at the bar. But part of me is like, I'm absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so scared. Like, the idea of a Pride March, I think this is going to be something everyone should be talking about. And especially, I think, for me, it's really highlighted the idea of a Pride March might happen. Of being like, wow, that could be really overwhelming for a lot of people. And for me, and like, I'm not someone who gets overwhelmed, but like, I think we should continue to have these conversations, and also like continue to talk about like making sure things remain accessible. Like it's I think it's awful that it has taken a pandemic to show how things could be accessible. There's no excuse for it to have happened this late, but there's also no excuse for it to go back to how it was.
Yeah.
I think that shows like marches, protests, they should still, organisers need to continue to work to make sure that they are accessible for all.
Yeah.
Part of that being online.
Forgive me if I'm, repeating something I've said before, but I hope that the thing that comes out of the pandemic is that for, you know, disabled people, I guess, I mean, particularly, I guess, in like the workplace, they can turn around and say, actually, no, you can provide this thing for me because you did it for able-bodied for neurotypical people during the pandemic. It's possible. I know it's possible. You should be providing this to me. You have a duty to provide this to me. And I hope that is what comes out of it. And I hope that queer spaces in particular do that, because I think we've all realised, maybe more than we maybe had before, the value of our queer community.
Yeah.
And how, you know, particularly the most marginalised people within that queer community, like, really, we all need each other. Like, everyone needs each other. But we are really excited. And again, as we find out more about it, we will tell you more about it. And we're going to be there. And it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, and I think to echo, I was watching Pride, the film, last night.
Oh, God. Makes me cry every time.
Every time. I cried a lot during it. I think I'm particularly emotional at the moment. And what you can't see is I'm wearing my Pits and Perverts t-shirt.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. But, you know, obviously a resounding theme throughout that is solidarity forever. I think that as queer people, especially as things open up, especially as... Yeah, like we go into the future and we think about the queers that were showed solidarity before with all different communities, and we continue to do that as everything opens up. And remember that solidarity is forever, and we need to make sure we include everyone in everything we do.
100%. Solidarity forever. I think that's it. And the fact that we can do this face to face, I think there's going to be a lot of happy tears happening on that day.
Yeah,
I think so.
Too.
I think
Me too.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm like getting a little bit emotional thinking about it, and like genuinely, I don't know, like who's ever met me in real life. I don't cry. Like, I'm not a crier, but the idea of seeing my queer family, just like
this is the thing.
Yeah.
I think this might be a good place to wrap up, actually.
I think so as well.
So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and thank you to Francis for joining us. Really, really awesome having them and chatting to their absolutely wonderful, lovely self. My name is Kit Ross.
And my name's Lowie Trevina.
This has been the Bristol 24/7 Queer Catch-Up, and we will see you in a fortnight.
See you in a fortnight.